November 3rd, 2026, there is going to be a massive blue wave. The midterm elections will undoubtedly see the Senate and Congress flip blue. Democrats have the easiest layup ever in political history at this point. Weeks after Trump says that he suffers for the country at a veterans event, we have 200 dead soldiers in Iran, and there may be subsequent deaths from here. I've heard accounts from veterans who say that the military ranks actually do not respect him. They understand that their lives are the lives that are on the lines for his policies and actions. Hegseth attempted to prosecute Megyn Kelly for simply reminding everyone that they have a legal obligation to disobey illegal orders. This is just how it operates. This is how the whole system works. You can't blame your superior if you do something illegal like murder somebody. You are fundamentally accountable for your actions. Just following orders is not a sufficient legal defense just because you're in the military. So let's list a huge number of reasons now why the blue wave will be so strong. Trump coin is blatant corruption, selling a competing currency to the US dollar to foreign donors. The Qatari plane bribe, even though he says it's for his presidential library that he'll be able to use after he leaves office, he somehow thinks that does not violate the emoluments clause. It does. Obviously so. Palantir being used to stalk all citizens online. Most people don't like that, even his own base. Epstein. Everybody knows that he's the primary person in the files. The FBI. Nobody trusts Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and the rest. Dan Bongino looks like a fucking clown right now. Not to insult clowns, I'm sorry. Venezuela. People don't really approve of his actions there. He violated territorial sovereignty of a foreign nation, and everybody knows that the US government is nebulously involved in running drugs and guns. Marco Rubio had a brother who was famously a cocaine dealer, yet he's somehow the top person here. The so-called AI layoffs are just an excuse to cut staff across the board. There are massive job losses across the country despite what he would claim. And the C-SPAN food stamp lady who's going semi-viral in political circles. She, a 70-year-old woman on food assistance, low income, claims that she went from receiving $80 monthly to receiving $14 monthly under the Trump administration for food stamps. He has money for all this other stuff, but he doesn't have money to feed the nation's poorest people. I mean, we're $38 trillion in debt, and you're going to force old women to starve, effectively. Tariffs, they're wildly unpopular. They've been a way of rigging the market. It's a sure bet to trade on tariff announcements. One would allege insider trading if it were any other era of American history, because that's what it is. They know the market will respond once the tariffs are announced or undone or changed. They know exactly how it will change, and they trade ahead of it. Threatening the territorial sovereignty of Greenland and Canada does not sit well by most people. It actually caused quite a response from Europe. Europe has literally devised plans of attack on the US for the first time in a very long time. Immigration's custom enforcement is wildly unpopular and is mostly criticized as being a modern Gestapo and a personal army for Trump, which is not very legal. Ukraine has not been resolved within 24 hours like he claimed. Ukraine is still ongoing and even shows signs of escalation, unfortunately. USAID, the Doge cuts harmed American soft power, and China is swooping in and taking full advantage of the situation by offering foreign aid in the form of yuan to African nations. There is a silent rebalancing of power where many nations are actually choosing the yuan over the dollar. Israel is wildly unpopular among even the Republicans and globally as well to go along with the soft power loss. Those aforementioned African nations, virtually all of them align against Israel because they see themselves in the dead Palestinians more than in the oppressed Israelis. The Obama monkey video that he posted He gave a very soft dismissal. Oh, I didn't see it. That's about all he had to say. He hardly apologized at all. Oh, if that was there, I wouldn't like that. That's not sufficient to negate the political damage that it caused. Intentional or unintentional is irrelevant. And when you're talking about populist sentiment, it's actually the simpler issues like that which will do the most, rather than the complex issues. The lowest common denominator can understand and reject that. The fake peace prize that Trump was given is laughable, and his claims of a soaring economy are mitigated by the truth. The rise in precious metals prices is less to do with the increase in value of metals and the reduction of value of the US dollar. It is the loss of the currency's value, not the increase of the value of metal. In fact, I see prices quoted for the yuan. I'm not quite sure on this, but I see some people saying 0.15 USD when it has been 0.13 USD for very long. 13 cent to 15 cent is a huge change. Additionally, China dropped a colossal sum of US bonds. Essentially, they don't want the debt obligations of the United States because they don't think they're good for the money. All of these reasons and many more, we can be absolutely positive that there will be a massive backlash when it comes to the November 3rd midterm elections. The Senate and the Congress will likely switch to Democrat majority, at which point impeachment and removal is a very real possibility. The true polling reveals that he is the least popular president in presidential history. This is a very tumultuous time in America, and this leadership is not sufficient to navigate these choppy waters. I wish I could say that I approved of Trump personally. I wish he kept his commitments from his campaign. It was pretty clear that he never really was, but wouldn't it have been nice to have been pleasantly surprised? What if he really did improve the economy? What if he really did manage to avoid new wars? What if he really did pursue diplomacy? November is 8 months away, but these will be a fast 8 months. What a tragedy it is that I, somebody who has dedicated my life to this sort of political and sociological research, I'm dedicated to positive change, and yet I am looking at moving abroad and considering down the line potentially expatriation and renunciation of my citizenship. I feel a need as a US citizen with a college degree to move out of the country for economic opportunity and freedom of speech. If that doesn't say everything about the current state of this country, I don't know what does.